In the bustling streets of a forgotten corner of the city, where the rain-slicked sidewalks reflected the harsh glow of neon signs, young Lila huddled under a tattered umbrella, her fingers numb from the cold. She was just 18, scraping by as a street vendor selling wilted flowers to indifferent passers-by. But on this fateful evening, as a sleek black limousine splashed through a puddle nearby, Lila's life was about to shatter and rebuild in ways she could never imagine. What if I told you that a single glance into a stranger's wallet could unearth a buried past and rewrite a broken future? Stick around for this heart-wrenching tale, and if it moves you as much as it moved me, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that touch the soul, because you won't want to miss what's next. Lila had grown up in the shadows of poverty, raised by a grandmother who whispered tales of a mother long gone. Her mom, Elena, had vanished when Lila was just 5, leaving behind only faded memories and a single locket with a tiny photo inside. "She loved you more than the stars," Grandma would say, her voice cracking with unspoken sorrow. But love didn't pay the bills or fill the empty ache in Lila's chest. Orphaned now after Grandma's passing, Lila survived on her wits, dodging eviction notices and dreaming of a life beyond the grimy alleyways. Her days blurred into a monotonous grind: wake at dawn, peddle flowers until dusk, and collapse into a threadbare bed, wondering if she'd ever escape the cycle. One stormy night, as thunder rumbled like distant applause, Lila spotted a well-dressed man stepping out of that limousine. He was Alexander Voss, the city's infamous millionaire, tech tycoon, philanthropist, an enigma wrapped in tailored suits. In a moment of desperation, fueled by hunger and the fear of another hungry night, Lila bumped into him accidentally, her nimble fingers slipping into his coat pocket. She wasn't proud of it, but survival demanded tough choices. As she fled into the shadows, heart pounding, she ducked into an abandoned doorway and pulled out the wallet. Cash, cards, and then, a small, worn photo tucked behind a clear sleeve. Lila's breath caught. The woman in the picture was her mother, Elena, smiling radiantly, her eyes the same deep brown as Lila's own. Confusion crashed over her like a wave. Why would a stranger like Voss carry her mother's photo? Trembling, Lila clutched the wallet tighter, her mind racing through possibilities. Was he a stalker? A distant relative? Or something far more impossible? She knew she should return it anonymously, but the pull was too strong. The next day, summoning every ounce of courage, Lila tracked Voss to his towering office building. Dressed in her best second-hand clothes, she slipped past security with a fabricated story about a lost item. In his opulent office, overlooking the city like a king surveying his realm, Voss looked up from his desk, his sharp features softening in surprise as she handed back the wallet, minus the photo, which she held out like evidence in a trial. "Who are you?" Voss demanded, his voice a mix of suspicion and something deeper, almost vulnerable. Lila's voice shook as she replied, "That's my mother in your photo. Elena Ramirez. She disappeared years ago. Why do you have this?" The room fell silent, the only sound the ticking of an antique clock. Voss's face paled, and he gestured for her to sit, his hands unsteady as he poured them both water. What followed was a revelation that tore at the fabric of Lila's world. Voss wasn't just any millionaire, he was Elena's first love, from a time before Lila was born. They had met young, dreamed big, but his family's wealth and her humble roots created an unbridgeable chasm. Pressured by his parents, Voss had ended things abruptly, unaware that Elena was pregnant with Lila. Elena, heartbroken and alone, had raised Lila in secret, never revealing the father's identity to protect her from rejection. But fate had twisted further. Years later, after Elena's sudden illness and death, which Voss only learned about through a mutual friend, he had searched for her, carrying that photo as a talisman of regret. "I never stopped loving her," Voss confessed, tears glistening in his eyes for the first time in decades. "And now, you're her daughter?" "My daughter?" The DNA test that followed confirmed it, but the emotional storm was just beginning. Lila grappled with rage. How could he abandon them? How many nights had she cried herself to sleep, blaming the world for her loneliness. Voss, too, faced his demons, the guilt of a life built on success but hollow without family, the shame of letting societal pressures dictate his heart. The challenges mounted like storm clouds. Lila resisted at first, storming out in tears, accusing him of buying forgiveness with his fortune. She returned to her cramped apartment, wrestling with betrayal and the fear of vulnerability. Voss, undeterred, reached out gently, no grand gestures, just quiet visits to her flower stand, sharing stories of Elena's laughter and dreams. Slowly, barriers crumbled. Lila learned of Voss's own hardships, a loveless marriage arranged for business, the isolation of wealth that mirrored her poverty's solitude. Together, they navigated therapy sessions, where raw emotions spilled. Forgiveness wasn't easy, but it was necessary. Voss helped Lila enroll in community college, not as charity, but as a father's belated duty. In turn, Lila taught him humility, dragging him to street markets and showing him the beauty in simple joys. As months passed, their bond deepened into something unbreakable. Lila moved into a modest home Voss provided, but she insisted on working, building her own path as a budding artist inspired by her mother's spirit. The truth had changed everything, from poverty to possibility, from isolation to connection. Voss, once a cold tycoon, found purpose in philanthropy that truly helped the overlooked, starting a foundation in Elena's name for single mothers. Lila's flowers bloomed brighter, symbolizing her renewed life. And so, dear viewers, in the end, this isn't just a story of lost and found, it's a reminder that family isn't defined by blood or wealth, but by the courage to heal and love anew. No matter how broken your past, the truth can set you free and lead to unexpected miracles. If this tale tugged at your heartstrings, smash that like button to show some love, and subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories that prove hope is always within reach. Who knows? Your own story might be waiting to unfold.